Hello everyone, it's Sugarbread Cat. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be redesigning Mina's hero suit. Now, the original design is something. Like, I don't hate it, but for me it feels like really all over the place and it doesn't really have a set style or a set idea in mind. It just feels like a bunch of elements that were mashed together and not really thought of in a way to make it cohesive. Now, I'm all for more is more. I love maximalism. I love gaudy outfits. I love full outfits. I love when there is a theme in mind and people go nuts with it. But what I don't love is just shit piled on top of shit, and it doesn't have a set theme or idea to it. Like, there's no matching colors, there's no matching media, there's no matching patterns, like, just nothing fits together. And I'm running into that same visual issue with the costume right now. And while I do like the color scheme, I just hate the execution. I despise the execution, in fact. And this is not coming from just, like, a disgruntled fan, but, like, I study fashion. I am currently on a gap year, but my college major is fashion design. So I have an idea of what I'm talking about here, and this does not work. Now, on to my changes. So first things, I decided to change her vest almost into almost a corset piece. And I only say this as a question because it's not really meant to function as a corset. It's mainly supposed to be a top with a few design elements to it, have some buttons here and there, and I just think it looks better than the little half vest she has going on. It allows more fur to be on there, so it just adds more fullness to it. It just looks like a finished piece. The vest that Mina currently wears with her costume looks half finished. Like, you took it from the designer when they were halfway done sewing and you presented it on the runway. Like, no, we are not doing half finished. We want a full finished look for this costume. So, the fur has been added, the vest has turned into a corset piece. Next, I made similar pieces for her arms, specifically almost in the style of bracers. I added a little bit of fur on the end, and I just wanted to tie it in with her costume a little bit more. Her arms are a bit bare, and I felt like that would add like a little bit of wrist support for her, while also not interfering with her quirk. Sorry to interrupt, but I have an Etsy store. If you'd like to support the channel, you can get yourself some jewelry there. Here's the new Halloween earrings that were just dropped. The store is called Sugarbread Studio, and it would be amazing if you could at least take a look. Now, onto the belt. This was an idea that I had for Bubble Girl, but I ultimately decided to switch it to Mina. So, I gave her a little belt with some pouches so she can store stuff, but the little canisters on there is what I want to talk about. There's two of them. My idea is that she can store some of her acid in there and use it if she runs out. Like for smaller things, you know? Controlled output in a sense. And my idea behind that is there would be this non-corrosive material lining the inside so that way she could store the acid safely without the containers completely degrading on her. I don't know, I think it would be a really cool idea and just a really creative solution, because what if she's in a situation where her quirk gets erased or she gets hit by a quirk bullet? She still has an option to be able to use her quirk in some capacity with those, and it's more of a last resort option, I realize, but at the same time, it's good to have those just in case. Now, onto the purple camo pattern she has going on her costume. I don't hate it, I just feel like it's a little too camo printy, and I feel like Mina would want something more that's like spray paint in a sense, or she just took a paintbrush and just flicked paint all over her costume. I feel like that would be more in line with what she would choose, her sense of style, from what I've seen of her character. Of course, I could be wrong, but this is also just a little design choice on my end that I feel like it looks a bit better. It looks messier, yes, but it also has personality and character there. I kept the color for the purple because I do like that, but I took the light blue and switched it more to a teal. I feel like that would work better with the purple because it was just too blue before. It didn't really mesh well with the purple. If you put it opposite sides on a color wheel, this I feel goes a little bit better. Like again, I don't hate it. It's just it didn't really mesh well to begin with. I did also make her pink hair a little bit darker in my drawing just so it would stand out a little bit more. It's not a design pick. It's just more just so I could tell the difference between her skin and her hair because I had a hard time doing that. Just really a small flaw on my end. I did take her fur and I switched it to almost like this white with a pink tint to it because I felt like that would mesh better with her skin. I just feel it helps balance out the design a little more, and it just doesn't look very jarring when originally that white looks very bright compared to the other colors because a lot of her color scheme isn't very saturated. There's a bit of a gray tint to her skin, there's a little bit of a gray tint in the blue of the bodysuit, we have a darker red for the boots, and the yellow isn't very saturated, so that white really stood out and not in a good way. I did also give the bodysuit sleeves. I don't know, I just like that a little bit more. There's no reason behind that other than just a personal preference, so feel free to ignore that if you like. Now, with the shoes, I really like the way they are originally, but there were a few tweaks here and there that I wanted to do. First of all, I wanted to take the red, the really deep burgundy, and change it into pink so it would match more with her design, and also because the burgundy just looks so out of place compared to all the other colors she has going on. So if it's switched to pink, it meshes a bit better, and it goes with her hair. I also added some fur on there because honestly it just looks cute and it helps tie in all the fur on the top of the costume with the bottom. Because in the original design, it looks kind of disjointed. That fur looks like it was randomly placed there without much thought. And while, yeah, they are in high school, they aren't really thinking about their costumes from a design point. They are giving their designs to a literal portion of the school that handles design. Yes, they are also students who are designing costumes for said students, but at the same time, it would make sense if it was something that they would have at least touched on in that course because it makes no sense, none at all, to have a course about design and not teach them fundamentals of design. I also added some of the stitching from the boots onto the little pockets of her belt and her bracers. I felt like that would tie in everything a bit better. I added the same color on the top of the capsules as well, just for consistency. Now for the mask. With that, I wanted to keep it the same color as the fur, but I also considered it keeping it white because I didn't really know what I really wanted to do with the mask. Because on one hand, the white would help stand out, but on the other hand, it won't go with the design. Yeah, it'll stand out against her skin, but it just doesn't match with the rest of the design. The white already looks way too jarring. So it was just a matter of, do I want to sacrifice the uniformity of the design, or do I want something that really stands out? And I didn't really want to sacrifice the uniformity because it just didn't feel right. I also added the pink lines on the mask, kind of to imitate the stitching, and also to just draw in the rest of it together. It's the same color as the boots, the same color as her hair. Just another small thing all around to help tie in the design together, put a neat little bow on it, and make it more of a finished look than just a half-baked concept. I'm not saying that Horikoshi's designs are a half-baked concept, but when you put it in the fashion design category and you take a look at it from a fashion design perspective, they look very half done. Here's an art piece that I made recently. It would really mean a lot if you went over to my Instagram to leave a like on it and just leave a comment. I work really hard on both my videos and my art, so it just really means a lot. And it also just helps me reach more people and get my art seen. So I would really appreciate if you did that.